Hey everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful day. My name is Dr. Julie Two Moon. It's great to see so many of you in the group taking part and participating. And you know, the more that I watch people and the things that they go through, and I talk to so many of you, and you're really trying so hard, but I can tell that one of the things that is the biggest habit to let go of in actually regaining your energy and actually getting to a place of vibrance and healing and having your hormones balanced and feeling amazing in your body, and you know, being able to stand there and say like, oh yes, it's such a great day, I feel so good, is that we have to be willing to relinquish control of our body. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but it is such a huge issue in that this this pervasive desire to not only control our body, but then how it bleeds into, you know, our desire to control our food, making up restrictive lists. You know, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. That's going to make me fat. That's going to do this. You know, that is just going to be a lifetime on my hips. I hate that phrase, but those are all means of evoking a sense of lack and then actually enforcing a sense of control. And so much of what's out there is just reinforcing this pervasive thing that we believe, so many of us, that the better option for us is to try to control the outcome by continuously just overly controlling what we do, what we eat, what we say. And the fact is that the one message our body's been waiting for us to give it is, I completely and 100% unequivocally trust you. I trust that you've actually been doing everything I've asked you to do. That's a hard truth for a lot of people. They'll say, I didn't ask my body to do this. I didn't ask for pain. I didn't ask for autoimmune diseases. I didn't ask for digestive problems. I didn't ask for food sensitivities. But the fact is that most of us have come up in the world looking for ways to prove to ourselves that, you know, we're safe. And one of the things that happens is that our emotional states predict our physical states. And so we're going through our world. Sorry, I keep getting messages that pop up and they're distracting me. So our emotional states predict our physical states. And so a lot of times what happens is that we don't feel like we're enough unless we're in control. And food and diet and our body is one of the things we feel like we can control. And so we take really specific action to try to enforce that. And then we get really frustrated with our body when it doesn't meet those expectations. And the more frustrated we get, the more that we turn that internal conversation on ourselves, and we start having this internal conversation that is like, gosh, look, you know, like these stupid thighs, this stupid belly, oh my gosh, my stupid head, you know, and then we even talk about like, oh, it's my bum knee, that's my bad ankle, you know, that's my migraine. So we start to link ourselves in identity, and we affirm for our body like these are all of our patterns, and our body says, oh yeah, these are all of our patterns, let's just keep going. Because nowhere along the way were we ever given a template how to unwind ourselves from that paradigm. And in fact, usually when we look in the world of healing, it gets more and more and more controlling as we go. So there isn't much room for feeling what it feels like to get into a state where we can absolutely trust our body. And what happens is a lot of our hormonal systems, like whether, you know, you may not realize, but the more that we have controlling words as part of our paradigm, the more it impacts thyroid. The more we have controlling and this like rigidity become part of our paradigm, the more that the adrenals kind of clamp down. And the more that they do that, our cellular structures clamp down. Well, guess what happens next? Right after that, your metabolism tanks. So the longer that this goes on, your cell metabolism gets slower and slower and slower, because the message that we keep giving our body is, oh no, get tighter, control it more. We're just still not there yet. There's not enough. Can't get to where we want to be. And this is what I see happen with women all the time, is that this huge need to control is actually ruining their life, because the more that they try to control, the more unhappy they are. And then it doesn't show up just in their body. They'll say, oh yeah, my kids, my husband, they're always commenting, my God, you're a control freak. You keep trying to control the outcome. And then they back off. They don't help as much because we keep telling them, oh, it's not enough. So this is a pattern. Because patterns are things that can be changed. Patterns are collections of events that have a grouped association that create a specific outcome. And the impetus of control in our body and in healing has its origin in our own past experiences, in societal dogma and demonstration, and in what society has put out there as what it really means to be successful and or pretty and or intelligent. And then it is our avoidance of our true self, you know, like the true vibrant us inside that may or may not meet those guidelines, and putting our focus on all those external locus of control, and then getting really disappointed in our body when it doesn't meet up. So when we get tired, we get frustrated. So as this accumulates, then we keep deepening the negative message. And in doing so, we also get further and further from what's actually going to feed ourselves. I mean, I find that the more we get into this dogma, when I look at what people are choosing to eat, it's not a cell-nourishing diet. It's not something that's going to promote more energy. It's something that's just going to kind of clamp down harder. Or, you know, we end up swallowing handfuls of pills because, you know, Dave Asprey said it was going to solve all of their problems. So we start linking it externally. We keep looking for the external locus of control. And then we lose the deeper connection inside of ourselves. And then we get even more despondent and feel separated. But then instead of turning inward and then starting to question, well, how can I get into connection? How can I trust my body? How can I develop that relationship? What foods would allow me to really get into that space? What are my cells asking for? You know, what are all these truths here? We might ask that at a surface level, kind of hear a little bit of an answer, and then we dive back into the external control. That's what doesn't work. And yet this is why women in this Western world at this moment in history are exhausted to the core. This is why I find that women are having elevated rates of heart disease, because control is a situation where we ask our body to buffer us in huge and massive ways. And arterial plaquing is nothing more than, honestly, armor that our body has developed for us. And it relates to patterns of calcium distribution that have everything to do with trying to block out the world. And it's the reason why so many women have fibroids and PMDD and so many difficulties during menopause, because those heavy emotions descend into the pelvis. And then on top of it, the raging stress, the constant going, the pushing, the trying to overachieve, it all creates a hyperestrogen state that just propels those things and makes it worse. And that's why so many women have migraines, because when they're responding to elevated stress in their life, that control nature sends their muscles into chaos and the muscles clamp down. And or the hyperestrogen state that relates to those same earlier conditions creates inflammation and swelling in the arteries that then contributes. So you can see this all comes back to these same places. I have never met a woman who needed healing that didn't have some aspect of control she needed to release. But bigger than that, it's getting truly into peace with our body. It's developing a relationship that is long-lasting and trusting and evokes a sense of curiosity, compassion, caring, and expansion, rather than one of just behave. So if you are listening to me and thinking, I don't even know what that looks like, you're not alone. That's what we find in every woman that we talk to and every woman that we work with, is that there's this pervasive sense of, you know, I'm so done just being offered another cheap option diet. There's the reason why they exist out there, because we've all bought those cheap option diets. And the cool thing is that we have no guilt in walking away from them. That's why we buy them in the first place, is that it lets us go, oh yeah, right, that it probably wouldn't work anyway, which they don't. But when we spend $29.99 on our health, that's the value we're saying it's worth to us. And we like those options because they allow us to invoke that same sense of control. They're still following the same model. You have this many points of this and that many points of that. And there's no logic according to body rhythms. There's no logic according to body wisdom. There's no speaking to the body. There's no language in it. And so it keeps us in our comfort zone, where it's all about control. It's all about you not having willpower. It's all about your sugar cravings or your carb cravings, or, you know, whatever moniker people want to put on it. None of it is about who you are, what your life path has been, why your body is making these choices, why it's trying to protect you, what you've been asking of it, what your emotions are that are connected to it, the toxicity, how your organs are functioning, none of it. And that's what's the most commonly offered plan in the world today, are plans that do that. And plans that encourage us to strong arm our body. Just work harder, take this boot camp, you know. I once spoke to a woman who liked to do extreme running and wouldn't eat more than 25 carbs a day because she was terrified of them. That's still that same pattern. I'm just going to control and control and control and subdue my body until it behaves the way I want to. And yet she wasn't happy. She wasn't joyful. She wasn't filled with energy. Her body wasn't looking or feeling the way she wanted to, but she was terrified to leave that model of control because it was all she'd ever known, and it's the only model being offered. But it's apparent that it's no longer working. Not that I think it worked in the first place. And it's apparent to me that the only way that we as women are going to not only thrive and have an amazing life and feel fantastic, have all those things, happiness, joy, a libido, a body we love. The only way we're going to get to that, but also the only way that we're going to be able to be powerful forces and vehicles of change in the world is if we're no longer adhering to that model that is broken, that is so foreign to the way that nature works. And this is something that, heralds back to my Chinese medicine training and so many other things, but nature works in timelines of inclusiveness, and you do not force nature, otherwise nature will bite you back. And we're watching that happen in people's bodies. There's a reason why our cancer rates are rising. There's a reason why the rates of heart disease for women are rising. There's a reason why more and more people have diabetes and anxiety and depression, because the accumulated effect of these things is that we're exhausted, our cells are exhausted, our cells are showing the rigidity, and it needs to change. And we do that through food, we do it through movement, we do it through nutrition, but we don't do it by controlling. We do it by partnering with our body, solving the core problems, and bringing about balance through compassion, and really truly listening to the body's needs and responding accordingly. So we're not just throwing things at a beautiful dynamic structure and expecting it to work. That's the path. So ask yourself, have I been adopting patterns of control? Have I been evoking methodologies of trying to make myself heal? And are my health practitioners doing that? Are they just trying to push on things hard enough until they move? Are they looking at how my relationship internally with myself has been contributing? And are they giving me positive models to follow with regards to food and with regards to supplementation and movement and mindfulness that serve to unwind that? Or are they just treating everything like it's in separate boxes? Because it matters. And until we start to change this paradigm, we're going to be stuck. And this is what I've seen over the last 20 years. And that's why I work the way that I do. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend my life stuck. I don't want to spend my life just trying one more controlling, ridiculous system that eventually is going to fail, because they all do, and then having to pull myself out of that pit again and start over. I think it's time that we as women said we're done with that. That we want vibrance and to be healthy and sensual and feel creative and happy and joyful and alive, and we want to do it while thriving. Because that, after all, is the only goal that matters. So I'm here for you. If you listen to this message and think, oh my God, I don't know how to do that for myself, great. Set up a call with us. This is what we do. Life is too short and death comes too quickly to spend it playing at this when we are so beautiful, and there's so many places in the world that need women to be able to stand up, and we can't do that from a place of weakness. And we cannot do that if we're trying to battle our internal demons all the time and more focused on trying to control our outcomes than we are on actually being alive. You guys are beautiful. Please reach out if you need help. And remember, what we serve to control never grows or changes. So if your model of healing is to control with really restrictive plans, to control with really excessive exercise, to control, then whatever you're putting that control on will never grow and it never changes. That to me doesn't sound like healing. Blessings, guys.